Part 1. The Road That Appeared on No Maps, Part 1. Before the turn. I need to start this story earlier than the road itself, because the road didn't begin when I saw it. It began long before that. In small, forgettable moments. In choices that didn't feel important at the time. The day I took the road was ordinary. Painfully ordinary. Work, traffic, messages I didn't answer, thoughts I kept postponing, the kind of day that leaves no mark in your memory. I remember the sky, though. It was too clear for that time of year. No clouds, no wind. Everything felt paused, like the world was holding its breath. I left later than I should have. That mattered. By the time I was driving, the streets were empty. Streetlights reflected on the windshield in long yellow lines. My car felt like the only moving thing in the city. The GPS worked fine at first. Turn here, continue straight. Estimated arrival, 42 minutes. I relaxed. I shouldn't have. There is a specific moment when routine becomes dangerous, when you stop paying attention because you believe nothing unexpected can happen. That moment came quietly. The GPS froze, not slowly, not with a warning. It froze like someone had cut the connection between the device and reality itself. The map disappeared, the blue arrow vanished, the screen turned grey. No error message, no sound, just silence. I told myself it was normal, bad coverage, rural area, old phone. Still I slowed down, not because I decided to. My foot simply eased off the pedal on its own. The engine suddenly sounded too loud, too sharp, like noise inside a place that expected silence. I glanced at the clock. 11:47 p.m. I remember that time clearly because I checked it twice, trying to ground myself in something normal. Time still worked. Numbers still made sense. That's when I noticed the road. It appeared on the right side, branching off at a shallow angle, like it had always been part of the landscape. The headlights caught the asphalt and reflected it perfectly. Dark, smooth, unmarked, no sign, no name, no speed limit. I slowed even more. My first thought wasn't fear, it was confusion. I knew this area. I had driven it for years. I knew every shortcut, every broken sign, every bad turn. There was no road here. I checked my mirrors. I checked ahead. I checked the GPS again. Nothing. The road didn't look unfinished. It didn't look abandoned. It looked complete, like it had been waiting. I laughed. A quiet, uncomfortable sound. The kind people make when they don't like the direction their thoughts are going. "It's just a service road," I said out loud. Hearing my own voice helped. It made things feel real again. I signaled. That detail still bothers me. I used the turn signal, as if the road needed permission. The moment my tires crossed onto the asphalt, my phone shut off. Instantly. No vibration, no shutdown animation, black screen. I pressed the power button. Nothing. At the same moment, the radio filled with static, low, soft, almost gentle. I reached to turn it off, but my hand froze halfway. For a second, and just one, the static sounded patterned, like breathing, in, out. I turned the radio off. The silence afterward felt heavier than the noise. I drove. Minutes passed, then more. The road was straight, perfectly straight, no intersections, no signs. The forest on both sides felt too close. The trees leaned inward slightly, branches tangled like they were listening. I checked the clock again. 11:47 p.m. It hadn't moved. I didn't panic yet. I told myself the clock was frozen too. Electronics glitching together. Coincidence, but a small part of me, a part I ignored, noticed something else. I didn't feel tired, not even a little. That's when I saw the car. A black sedan stood on the shoulder ahead, parked at an awkward angle. The driver's door was open just enough to let the interior light spill onto the asphalt. The hazard lights blinked. On, off, slow, steady, like a heartbeat. I pulled over without thinking. The sedan looked normal. Too normal. No visible damage, no broken glass. The engine was cold. I rested my hand on the hood longer than necessary, as if waiting for warmth that never came. That's when I saw the marks. They started near the open door, stretched across the road toward the forest. They weren't tire marks, they were uneven, deep, dragging marks. Something heavy had been pulled. I stood there for a long time, staring at them, arguing with myself. Every instinct told me to leave. Curiosity won. I followed the marks into the trees. The moment I stepped off the asphalt, the air changed. It felt thicker, colder, like walking into water. The forest was silent, no insects, no wind. After about 50 meters, I found the wallet. It lay face up, as if placed deliberately. Inside was an ID, a man, 34 years old. The name hit me harder than I expected. I recognized him. I remembered the news report from years ago, a man who vanished on his way home. No witnesses, no evidence, missing. My throat tightened. I turned around. The road was gone. No asphalt, no shoulder, only trees. That was the moment panic finally took hold. Not sudden, not explosive. It crept in slowly, wrapping around my thoughts, squeezing tighter with every breath. I ran. Branches tore at my clothes. My lungs burned. My legs shook. I don't remember how long I ran. Time had already stopped meaning anything. When I finally collapsed, gasping, surrounded by trees, one thought repeated in my head over and over. The road didn't disappear. It moved. End of Part 1, Part 2. The first records. I don't remember how I got back to my car. That part of the night is missing. Not blurry, not confused, just absent. Like someone cut a piece out of the memory and left the rest untouched. One moment I was on my knees in the forest, gasping for air, my hands shaking so badly I couldn't make fists. The next I was sitting in the driver's seat, the door closed, the engine running. The road was there again, perfect, silent, unchanged. I didn't question it. I didn't try to understand. I just drove. The clock on the dashboard still read 11:47 p.m. I stared at it for a long time, waiting for the numbers to change. They didn't. I drove until the forest thinned, until streetlights appeared, until normal roads returned like nothing had happened. When I finally reached home, I sat in the car for several minutes before getting out. I half expected the asphalt to stretch after me, to follow me into the parking lot. It didn't. That night, I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the dragging marks. I saw the wallet lying face up on the ground, like it had been placed there for me to find. At sunrise, I searched the man's name. I needed to know if the ID was real. It was. The articles were still there, old headlines, grainy photos, a smiling man standing somewhere ordinary, unaware he was already gone. Missing for 3 years. Last seen driving home. Case closed due to lack of evidence. I scrolled until my fingers hurt. Then I refreshed the page. A new article appeared at the top. This one was different. It had today's date and my name. For a few seconds I couldn't read it. The letters looked wrong, like they didn't belong together. Then it clicked. Name, age, photo, my photo, the one from my social media profile. Status, missing person. Last known location, unknown. Road outside the city, date of disappearance. 3 days from now, I felt something inside me go cold. Not fear yet, something worse, certainty. I went to the police that morning. I told myself I was being rational. Databases make mistakes. Systems glitch. Someone entered the wrong data. The officer at the desk listened politely. Too politely. He typed my name into his computer. His expression changed, just slightly, before he forced it back into something neutral. "It's probably a clerical error," he said. "We'll look into it." I asked him why my case already had a file number. He didn't answer that. That night my phone rang. The number was blocked. I answered. A man's voice came through, calm and controlled, like he was reading from a script he knew by heart. "Have you been on the road?" I didn't ask how he knew. I didn't ask who he was. "Yes," I said. There was a pause, long enough for me to hear his breathing. "Then you were never supposed to come back." The call ended. I stood there in silence, staring at my phone, waiting for it to ring again. It didn't. The next day I went back to the police station, not the front desk, the basement. The archives weren't meant for the public. Rows of metal shelves, old boxes, dust thick enough to leave footprints. I didn't know exactly what I was looking for. I just knew I would recognize it when I saw it. The folder was thin but heavy. No official seal, no department stamp, just a handwritten label, unmapped road cases. The first file was dated 1987. The reports were short, incomplete, almost careless. Each case followed the same pattern. Subject left home at night. GPS or navigation failure reported. Last location unclear. Vehicle not found. Case closed. Some files included personal notes from officers. Subject's phone recovered. No data. Witness claims road wasn't there before. Subject reported feeling watched. I flipped page after page, my hands growing numb. The locations were different, but the radius was always the same. 40 kilometers, always 40. The last page of the folder was empty, except for one name. Mine, under it, written in darker ink. Next to return, I dropped the folder. The sound echoed through the basement, louder than it should have been. That's when I felt it. The sensation of being watched, not from behind, not from above, from the floor. I backed away slowly, my eyes locked on the concrete beneath my feet. For just a second, only a second, I thought I saw tire marks, then they were gone. That night, I dreamed of the road, not as asphalt, as a line, a boundary, and everything I had ever done was just me slowly drifting back toward it. End of Part 2. Part 3. When the city started bending. After I found the folder, I stopped pretending this could be fixed. There was no explanation that would make it normal, no rational version where this ended with an apology and a corrected database. Something had already decided what came next. I tried to leave the city the following morning, not dramatically, not running, just leaving. I packed a small bag, clothes, charger, documents, things that made me feel like I still had control. I told no one where I was going. I didn't even decide myself. I got in the car and drove. The first exit looked normal, familiar. I had taken it hundreds of times. I followed it. 20 minutes later, I was back on the same street, same buildings, same cracked sidewalk, same cafe with the broken sign. I frowned and tried another route, different road, different direction, same result. No matter where I went, the city folded in on itself and brought me back. Not suddenly, not obviously. It was subtle, almost polite, as if it didn't want me to panic yet. By late afternoon, I accepted it. The city wasn't trapping me, it was keeping me close. That night, I didn't turn on the lights in my apartment. I sat in the dark, listening to the sounds outside, cars passing, distant voices, normal life continuing without me. Around midnight, everything went quiet, not gradually, instantly. No cars, no wind, no distant noise. I stood up and walked to the window. That's when I saw it, the road. It began right outside my building. No warning, no construction noise, no explanation. Fresh asphalt stretched from the curb into darkness, cutting through the street like it had always belonged there. Cars lined both sides, old ones, rusted ones, new ones. Some with doors open, some with lights still on, all empty. My car was there too, parked neatly between two others, like it had been placed with care. I didn't want to go down. I stayed by the window for a long time, telling myself that if I didn't look away, it couldn't change. It didn't need to. Eventually, I was standing on the road. I don't remember leaving my apartment. I don't remember walking down the stairs. I was just there. The asphalt felt warmer than it should have beneath my shoes. I got into my car. The door closed softly behind me. The engine started on its own. The GPS screen lit up. No map, no route. Just two words, centered perfectly. Destination unknown. I drove. The buildings faded first, then the streetlights, then the sky itself seemed to darken, losing depth, like a painted backdrop being pulled away. People stood along the road. At first, they were just silhouettes, then faces. Some I recognized, faces from the folder, from old articles, from faded photos. Others were wrong, features slightly misplaced, eyes too far apart, mouths that didn't quite match the shape of their faces. They didn't move. They watched. I wanted to look away. I couldn't. The road went on longer than it should have, longer than anything real ever does. At some point I realized I no longer felt afraid. That scared me more than anything else. At the end of the road something waited, a sign, old wood, rusted chains, letters carved deep enough to last forever. I stopped the car and got out. The sign read, "You were never supposed to leave." The words felt less like a warning and more like an explanation. I finally understood what the road was. It wasn't a path, it was a correction. Everything that followed, my job, my life, the choices I thought I made, had been a deviation. The road wasn't taking me somewhere new, it was taking me back. Behind me, the people began to step closer, not threatening, not violent, patient. I turned toward the forest beyond the sign. For the first time since this began, I felt something like acceptance. If I had never left, if none of us had, the road would have been enough. End of Part 3. Part 4. The Room Without Windows. I don't remember deciding to turn around. I only remember that suddenly I wasn't on the road anymore. The forest, the sign, the people, they all vanished at once like a scene being erased. There was no transition, no movement, just absence. The next thing I felt was cold, not the natural kind, not air, metal. My hands were resting on a table. My wrists ached slightly, like they had been held in one position for too long. The surface beneath my palms was smooth and unnaturally clean. I opened my eyes. The room was small, square, featureless, no windows, no visible doors, just white walls and a single light source above me. The light didn't flicker, it didn't hum, it existed without explanation. Across from me sat two people, a man and a woman. Both wore plain dark clothing, no badges, no insignia, nothing that explained who they were or why they were here. The man spoke first. "State your name." I hesitated. Not because I didn't know it, but because for the first time it felt optional. "You already have it," I said. He wrote something down anyway. "Do you know where you are?" "In a room," I answered. "Without windows." The woman looked at the man. Just a glance. Quick, practiced. "You were reported missing," she said. "You understand that, correct?" "Yes." "You were seen on a road that does not exist." "It exists," I said, "just not for you." The man stopped writing. "How long were you on the road?" I tried to think. I couldn't. "Time doesn't work there," I said finally. Silence. The woman leaned forward slightly. "Why do you think people disappear on that road?" I looked down at my hands. "Because we left," I almost said. Instead, I said, "Because you taught us roads end." They exchanged another look. The light above us changed, not brighter, not dimmer, closer. The air in the room felt heavier. "Describe what you saw," the man said. "In detail." I told them about the cars, the people, the sign. When I mentioned the words on it, the woman flinched, just slightly. "You were never supposed to leave," she repeated quietly. "Yes," I said. "That's what it said." She nodded, like something had finally been confirmed. The man cleared his throat. "There are things you need to understand," he said. "The road isn't new. It's older than the city, older than the idea of maps." "Then why hide it?" I asked. "We didn't," the woman said. "We forgot it." The room shifted. Not visually, conceptually. I realized something then, something that made my stomach tighten. There were no cameras, no microphones, nothing on the walls. "How are you recording this?" I asked. The man looked at me. "We're not," he said. The sound came next, a low vibration beneath the table. I felt it through my hands, through my bones. The woman stood up. "We need to stop," she said. "It's too close." "What is?" I asked. She didn't answer. The floor changed, not suddenly, slowly. The white surface beneath my feet darkened, lines forming, stretching, connecting. Tire marks fresh. The vibration grew stronger. The man stood as well. "The room isn't holding," he said. "Then open the door," the woman replied. "There is no door." The light above us dimmed for the first time. I smiled. That surprised me. "You feel it too?" I said. "Don't you?" They both froze. "The road doesn't like competition," I continued. "It doesn't like being observed." The vibration became a sound, a deep, endless hum. The walls began to stretch, not crack. Stretch, like rubber pulled too far. The woman whispered, "We shouldn't have tried to keep them." "Keep who?" I asked. She looked at me. "Everyone." The floor beneath us was no longer white. It was asphalt. Perfect, smooth, dark. The smell hit next. Oil, rubber, rain that never fell. Behind the man, something appeared. A line, straight, endless, a road. He turned slowly, his face pale. "No," he said. Not here." I stood up. My restraints were gone. "Here is fine," I said. "Here is closer." The last thing I heard before everything dissolved was the woman screaming my name, not as a warning, as recognition. End of part 4. Part 5. Where the road really leads. The first thing I noticed was the silence, not the absence of sound, but the absence of resistance. Before, silence had weight, pressure, like the world was holding something back. Now it felt open, wide, accepting. I was standing on the road again, not inside a car, not in a room, just standing. The asphalt stretched in both directions farther than I could see. No horizon, no curve, no end. The forest was gone. The city was gone. Even the sky felt different. Not dark, not bright, just present. Like a ceiling that didn't need to be explained. The people were there, thousands of them. They stood along the edges of the road in perfect lines, facing inward. Men, women, children, old and young, every age, every kind of face. Some looked solid, others looked unfinished, like details had been forgotten halfway through. They weren't trapped. That was the first truth I understood. They were waiting. I stepped forward, and the crowd reacted, not with movement, but with attention. Every face turned toward me at once, not hostile, not curious, expectant. I knew then what my role was, not victim, not survivor, witness. I walked, with every step, memories surfaced that didn't belong to me. A woman turning onto the road because her GPS failed, a teenager chasing a shortcut to get home faster, a truck driver following fresh asphalt where none should have been. None of them planned to disappear. None of them chose the road because they wanted something strange. They chose it because it felt familiar, because it felt right. I stopped when I reached something different, a break in the line, a space where no one stood. In front of it was another sign. This one wasn't rusted. It wasn't old. It was unfinished. The letters carved into it shifted as I looked at them, rearranging, correcting themselves. Finally, they settled. This is where you left. The truth came all at once, and it hurt more than fear ever could. The road wasn't hunting people. It wasn't stealing them. It was returning them, long before cities, long before maps, long before names. There had been paths that never ended, paths that didn't separate places but connected states of being. Humanity had learned to leave them, to build over them, to forget them, to pretend that destinations mattered more than movement. But the road remained, waiting for those who drifted too far from it, waiting for those who felt the pull without understanding why. The people along the edges weren't prisoners, they were corrections. I felt something behind me. I turned. The man and the woman from the room stood there, pale and unsteady, like they didn't fully belong here. They looked smaller now, less certain. "You can't keep this," the man said. His voice trembled. "People belong out there." "Out there is what broke them," I replied. The woman shook her head slowly. "We kept records. We archived you. We tried to control it." "And you failed," I said gently, "because the road doesn't exist to be controlled." The people along the road stepped forward. Just one step. That was enough. The man fell to his knees. "Please," he whispered, "send us back." I looked at them for a long time. "Everyone asks to go back," I said. "No one asks where they were meant to stay." The sign behind me changed again. The letters shifted, carving deeper this time. "You can stay or you can guide." Understanding settled in my chest, heavy and final. Someone had to remain aware. Someone had to remember both sides. Someone had to speak when the road opened again. I turned back to the crowd. They were no longer waiting. They were ready. I stepped into the center of the road. The asphalt warmed beneath my feet. The people began to fade, not disappear, but blend, becoming part of the path itself, their stories, their choices, their unfinished journeys woven into the surface. The man and the woman were gone, not taken, released. The road stretched on, and for the first time, it felt complete. I don't know how you're hearing this. I don't know where you are. But I know this. If your GPS fails late at night, if a road appears where it shouldn't, if something familiar pulls you to turn, yes, that's not curiosity. That's recognition. And when it happens, remember this: the road doesn't want everyone. Only those who were never meant to leave it. End of part 5. End of the story.